Welcome back to Off the Jaw. It's been a while.
It has been a while.
Yeah, I'm eager to get back in here.
Yeah, I'm excited too. So we're gonna take it easy this week with a topic that's not controversial. It's not nobody's gonna get mad about it. So a light topic: Israel-Palestine.
That's a light topic?
No, it's the opposite. It's the worst. We're probably gonna get more hate than ever. It's not like that kind of stuff. I usually don't like to comment on because, like, I don't know. It's like everybody has a take on it, and nobody really knows everything that's going on. So it's like pointless to try to give your opinion on it. But like over Memorial Day weekend, I mean, Israel's just like destroying these fucking people, and everybody's just letting it happen. They told everybody to evacuate to Rafah, and then over the Memorial Day weekend, when at least Americans aren't paying attention, they just fucking destroyed the whole place, killed a shitload of people. And there's like videos on Twitter of uncensored people burning alive and people, you know.
Well, they targeted terrorist leaders there.
Is that what you think?
That's what they did.
That's not what they did.
Exactly what they did.
No, if they were targeting terrorist leaders, they wouldn't be blowing up schools and hospitals.
That's where they are.
That's where they are. So, okay, if I come out and shoot you, and then I run into a preschool,
it's
are you going to blow up the preschool?
It's absolutely horrible what terrorists do. They use humans as shields, and they hide behind it.
Yeah. So then you just have to you're forced to blow up the preschool.
We have different ways of doing things.
Well, so did they. They had different ways of doing things before Netanyahu, and now that he's around, it's just like, oh yeah, wherever they're at, we'll bomb it, even if we're not sure if they're there, or even if we saw somebody who looks like they had a gun, but it was really.
But if you let them go, they just come back.
Okay, so you have to wipe out the entire 2 million.
There is also called civilian casualties. Now, I don't agree with everything, but civilian casualties happen.
Yeah, they definitely happen.
They definitely happen.
I mean, it should be minimized, and they're not doing anything. It should
be with today's technology. Yes,
yeah,
it should be at almost a very, very minimal.
They have like the most sophisticated military in the Middle East because we give them $4 billion a year, and somehow they
actually have one of the best special force units. Israel.
So they're not
one of the top elites.
They're not isolating targets, though. They're just blowing up everybody. They're telling people to evacuate and then blowing up the places where they evacuate to. The humanitarian aid workers that come there, they will bomb their vans.
Yeah, well,
that's like
if you said
Geneva Convention violation.
If you said evacuate Elwood City and you didn't leave, and they dropped a bomb and it killed millions or 20,000 people because they refused to leave.
Where do they go? They're in an open air prison. Where are they going to go?
I don't know.
How are they going to
But I'm just saying.
I get what you're saying. That's the excuse they always give, like, oh, they gave a warning. And it's like, these people have been here long. Joe Biden is older than Israel. The people who have...
You mean Joe Biden's red line? We didn't cross that red line.
Oh, yeah. He's just going to let him keep doing it.
Of course. You have to understand... There's a lot of things I don't agree with when it comes to war. But war is the most profitable business that there ever is.
Yeah.
It's money driven. If you think it's all targets and they're doing things for a certain reason, it's usually something else behind it.
It's just it's money, power, and control. It's like they've been talking about overthrowing Assad or Saddam for decades before they actually did it because that's their plan. We're like, well, we want the oil, we want access to we want to put our bases there, we want a regime change, so they start using our currency. But same thing. I don't know. It keeps happening.
But being for somebody who was in the military,
yeah, true.
I've seen it firsthand.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. I've seen it firsthand. I mean, I've seen it during the Gulf War. I've watched the military manipulate the media and do the complete opposite. I mean, we had troops in there before anybody even knew what happened.
Guarding the poppy fields too.
Yeah, we had oil fields secured before anybody even knew what was going on. So, yes, you're never going to know everything because that would defeat the purpose.
Well, then how do we?
You can't say, okay, this is what our strategy is. This is what we're going to do, and this is how we're going to do it. If you did that, then you would never achieve anything because the other side would know exactly what you're doing.
Yeah, that's true.
So they're never going to tell you. You will never, ever, ever know what they're doing.
But if what they're doing is evil, how do we stop it?
What's defined as evil?
Murdering innocents.
Are you talking about civilian casualties?
I'm talking about bombing weddings, and I'm talking about drone strikes that
kill. And that's what you saw.
I mean, I have seen that, yeah.
You've seen a bomb coming down and destroying weddings.
Yeah, Julian Assange leaked that. That's why he's going insane in a prison cell right now.
You know, he leaked that.
Yeah.
He showed you the videos.
Yeah.
Of weddings being destroyed.
Yeah, that happened.
There's video proof of that.
Yeah.
Where?
Well, wait, hold on. Give me a second. You know you're going to make me look it up? Hold on.
Again.
What?
There's a difference between targeting civilians and civilian casualties. If you're telling me that they are targeting weddings and dropping bombs for the hell of it, that's different.
I want to see this fact check where it says, did Obama order a drone strike on a wedding? They're going to say that's mostly false. Okay. 23 children and 10 women in Baghdad, Afghanistan. Verdict, false. Oh, it occurred under the Bush administration. So, I mean, it still happened. It was still an airstrike.
They didn't say, we're going to blow up that wedding right there, just for the hell of it.
Well, yeah, they say, oh, there's a threat there. There's somebody there who is a cousin.
What if there was?
You don't blow up a wedding.
What if there was a top Al-Qaeda leader?
The problem is
hiding in that wedding.
We trained Al-Qaeda. We gave them the weapons. So it's like, I mean, there's pictures of John McCain shaking hands with al-Baghdadi. We created.
And what if everybody in that wedding has some type of ties to Al-Qaeda or some type of thing that you never knew about?
And you think you just give them the benefit of the doubt?
I didn't ask you that. I just said, what if they had...
What if?
What if? Because that's what you're doing. You're telling me what if.
Okay, so what if all the women and children there were part of Al-Qaeda?
What if they were?
What if they were? Then, okay, sure.
Is it okay to kill women and children if they're Al-Qaeda?
I think it's not okay to kill non-combatants if there's somebody who has like initiated aggression.
If these children are raised to hate Americans, to kill Americans,
right,
and then they're killed during combat, is that okay? Even though they never picked up a gun.
I don't think that's okay. No, I don't. Yeah, I don't think that's okay. If, like, we had a civil war and it's like, you know, North versus South, would you say the same thing of, like, a Southern kid who was raised to hate the Northerners and then we go kill that kid who's 9 years old? Like, is that okay? Or is it just okay because they're in the Middle East and we never get to see them and they're brown and nobody, who cares? Is that, like, you know, that seems like...
Yeah. See, you look at it from a position of non-military status.
Yeah, that's definitely true.
Your biased opinion.
It may be biased.
Yeah. So when you talk to veterans who actually were in Afghanistan and who fought those style people, and they tell you something different, would that change your mind?
I mean, it depends on what they told me, but like, it still doesn't take away from the big picture that you shouldn't be there. We shouldn't be there. Why would we go there? We don't need to. We don't need to be anywhere but here. I don't think we need to have bases and I don't think we need to like have military installations in every other country in the world. I think we need to keep to ourselves. And I think we're wasting taxpayer dollars that could be used to solve the homeless problem or, you know, feed children or whatever. And we're using that to blow up people.
Using that to blow up people.
Yeah.
So we're the bad guys.
Where are the bad guys?
We are the bad guys.
Are. The United
in your eyes.
The United States
So when
government.
terrorists do bombings and kill innocent people, it's okay.
No, it's not okay. Those people should be killed.
Well, how do you know who they are?
Well, you can't just go like.
How do you know who they are? If you are a terrorist organization in Al-Qaeda, and you blend in with the population, you don't know who is who.
So you can't just start shooting blindly.
That's what happened in Afghanistan. It was hard to define targets because you didn't know who the hell you were fighting.
Yeah, and we shouldn't have been there in the first
place. Because, you know, you target Al-Qaeda targets, and then, okay, everybody else is throwing their hands saying, we're not Al-Qaeda. And then you turn around and you get shot in the back.
Yeah, I'm sure that happens a lot.
That happened a lot.
A good way to avoid that is by not going to Afghanistan. I don't know. That's just what I think. It's the whole thing is like I feel like we're brainwashed to think that like, oh, Operation Iraqi Freedom. We're going there to spread democracy through the region. We're going to save them. They're going to thank us. They're going to welcome us with open arms. And it's like, no, we destroyed their. How are they doing now? You think they're doing better now? Since we went there?
We didn't stop anything.
Yeah, we made it worse.
We didn't make anything worse. We did nothing different than the Soviets did.
Okay. Soviets were bad too.
The Soviets went into Afghanistan and they couldn't even do it. We went in and did it and we couldn't even do it.
It's like the empire grinder if you go in there. It's a war you can't win.
Because you can't figure out who you're fighting.
Yeah.
Because there's rules. There are rules. The Geneva Convention only allows you to do certain things. Mm-hmm. Your enemy doesn't follow the Geneva Convention, right. So they don't have to follow those rules.
Yeah.
So it's a lose-lose situation.
Well, in the case of like Israel, Hamas, neither of them follow the rules of the Geneva Convention. You know, they're both violating human rights. They're both killing innocents. They're both targeting innocents, and I don't know. It's a hard situation because like the people of Palestine don't have a government. They can't vote their way out of this. They can't just like what? Do you think they should all just leave and give all the land to Israel? Do you think that would be...
Isn't that usually what happens when someone gets conquered? You act like this has never happened before.
But they weren't conquered. They were...
I'm just saying, this is what happens when other countries conquer other countries. This has happened for centuries.
Do you think that... So, do you think that if we did that now to...
I'm not saying what they're doing is right. But what I'm saying is you're throwing your hands up in the air as if we all need to stop just doing everything. And just let the bad guys kick our ass.
No, we just need to...
You're like, it's okay for everybody else to do it, but we can't. It's okay for terrorists to blow up innocent civilians, but when we bomb terrorists and innocent civilians are killed, we're horrible.
No, I think we don't need to be involved in any foreign affairs. I think the whole reason 9/11 happened is because we were involved in the Middle East. Do you think they just did it like for fun? Like they did it because we've been over there f***ing them for a long time, you know? So that's just what I think. That not that we like, if we had been minding our own business and not trying to rape the land over there, then that wouldn't have ever happened. So I don't know. It's not like they're just crazy religious freaks, which of course some of them are, but no, we provoked.
We provoked who?
We provoked Al Qaeda. We provoked the Taliban. We provoked ISIS. We did, and while also creating and arming them, and then later. You give a bunch of, moderate rebels a bunch of weapons and train them how to fight, and then they're going to use them against you.
We gave weapons to them to defend themselves against the Soviet Union.
Yeah.
And then they turned around and used it against us.
Yeah. And we've given them weapons since then. I mean, we were given ISIS weapons back in the early 2000s.
War is the most profitable industry there ever is. I mean, what you need to be talking about, and nobody wants to talk about, are the companies that make huge profit off of war.
Yeah.
They're the designers. They make the weapons. They sell the weapons. They're not just, okay, we make these weapons and sell them to the United States. They make the weapons and they sell them to everybody. Even when they're told not to, they just go around the black market and do it anyways.
Yeah. No, they do, and they should be shut down. I'm trying to think.
Nobody gets... Name one time you've seen a company get shut down because of that.
No, they get to be vice president. Those guys like Dick Cheney. You know what I mean?
And they get humongous amounts of grants and money and government funding.
Mm-hmm. And they lobby and they get government contracts, and then they take our money and use it for that.
These are the people that we should always be targeting, but we never do.
Yeah, we definitely should be.
We talk about everything else but that.
They should be shut down. They should be publicly executed.
It's wrong to kill innocent, but execute these people.
These weapons dealers, they're not innocent.
So that's has always been my take when it comes to conflict. It's always a business. If they can't make money off of it, there's no conflict.
But they are hollowing out our entire country and economy by doing it. So it's like, how much longer can this go on? Like, we're already $34 trillion in debt, and we're still worried about, I don't know, like electing people who aren't going to do anything about it. And then anybody who does want to do something about it, they don't get elected, They get all the donors will turn on them.
Exactly.
So there's no way out. How do we win?
You don't.
We just sit here and wait for it all to fall apart.
Eventually.
Yeah. It's sad.
Actually, China will take over.
Yeah, you think they'll be nice to us?
No.
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 I don't know. I feel like China needs us as much as we need them.
It's a vicious circle. It's the ebb and flows, the rise of powers. it's been going on for centuries. This is nothing new.
Yeah.
I mean, you can go back in history and look at all the conflicts and all the issues. Go all the way back. I don't care where it is. World War I, World War II, Vietnam, Korean War. They all have issues. They have reasons why we shouldn't have been there, but we were.
Yeah.
And there's always an underlying why we were there that you will never know about.
Yeah, that's usually what it is, and I just think it's gotten to a point where, like, with the internet this time, that like this part of the cycle that we're going through.
See, and I'll never take a stand. It's hard for me because, when American soldiers lose their lives, it's nothing to be taken lightly. So it's hard for me to always try to say, oh, we have no business being here, doing this, doing that, doing this. There's a reason why we're there. It might not be the way you see it or the right way or the way it's portrayed in the media, because the media will take anything and blow it out of proportion.
That's true. In my mind, they are tricking these young kids into, this is something great, and this is you'll be a hero, you're a patriot, it's honorable, and then they send them to go die for oil or go die for nothing. And it's like, of course I respect those people, but they're being tricked. Like, just because they give their life doesn't mean that, like, the government...
They're definitely not being tricked. You have to...
What do you think all the...
No one is forcing you to join the military. Where other countries, you have to join the military. You're not forced to. It is your decision to sign that paperwork. It is your decision to take that oath. It is your decision to go through basic training. It is your decision to pick up a weapon and fight. That's your decision. Whether you have strong beliefs in your freedom of this country or why you're doing what you're doing, it's your choice. No one forced you to do it. You can be in China where you are forced to be in the military. There are other countries where you don't have a choice. This is what you're going to do. And that's the way it is. So I can't say people are being tricked into doing this.
So then that makes it, I mean, if you follow that logic, that makes it, like, harder to feel bad for them when it's like, this is what you signed up for.
Yes, when you sign up for the military, you have to understand it is service before self. The moment you do that, it is not about you anymore. So it's not about your family. It's about the military. So that's why it's called service before self. So and these are, beliefs that you believe in when you're in the military. If you don't, you get out. There are many, many people who don't make it in the military, who get washed out. And the ones that don't stay, and they know what they're getting into. It's not like they're being tricked.
See, I don't know if they know what they're getting into, because what, like, the number one cause of death for U.S. soldiers is? Suicide. It's the number one cause of death currently for the past 40 years.
And so the number one suicide rate in civilian is air traffic controller.
Is that true?
What's your point?
I'm saying that the number one cause of death for soldiers is suicide. I'm saying that they're going over there, they're being ordered to do evil shit, they come back, they can't handle it.
No.
That's what I think.
No. No, because you've never been in that scenario.
Yeah,
I've never been in that scenario, but I know people who have been in that scenario. When you are put in a combat situation where there's an enemy firing upon you, trying to kill you, and you have to return fire because you don't want to die, and you kill people, you kill combatants and things. It messes with your mind. You're human.
Yeah, I 100% believe
you see
that,
people being blown up, ripped apart. You see your brother or sister who's beside you, who you're fighting with, get killed or shot. I mean, that mentally messes with your mind. And that's what when you come back into the civilian world, people can't let it go. They can't get those images out of their head.
Yeah.
And that's what causes those issues.
So then, I just don't think we should be sending people over there to get killed and to watch each other die and to kill. Like, and to me, it's like, what are we getting out of it as a people? I know you've already reiterated that it's a business and it's the weapons companies that are making all this money, but, like, I think pretty much every war has been unnecessary and has hurt us as a country.
So when a lot of soldiers went over to Afghanistan area, after like 9/11, everybody was pumped up, fired up, look what they did to us. We need to retaliate.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that was the soldiers' mindset.
Yeah.
And they went over there. And again, when they went over there, those are the images that happen, what you see, you know, the combat situations. You know, when you come back and you're not in that combat and you're not a soldier anymore, you can't just turn it off. People have a hard time just flipping that switch.
Yeah.
You know, you can't unsee what you've already seen. So those are the issues. Now, not everybody. Some people can, or some people just choose to bury those feelings and they can cope with it better. Others can't, and that's where your suicides come into. That's where people, you know, they can't function. They just can't because you are trained as a soldier to do what they need you to do.
Yeah.
You know, and now when you're not a soldier and you've been through those combat situations, how do you turn it off? You know, that's what happens to Navy SEALs and people, special forces. They are literally taught, you know, to, you know, I've never been in it, but just the way they're trained, it's so high intense and so high level that when they're done doing their job and they're no longer a special force unit,
mm-hmm.
some of them can't turn it off.
Yeah, no, I totally get. I understand that. I think so. If you had to pick a side, are you supporting Israel? Are you supporting?
It's not about supporting who. It's. I try to look at things from both sides. You know, I don't agree with everything. You know, when I look at that, I'm like, could they have done something different? Is there a reason why there was a military strike and so many civilians were killed? What don't we know about it? What aren't we being told? You know, what is the media only saying, but what is being hidden, you know, of what really happened? You'll never understand it, nor will you ever get the truth because the government's never going to let it out.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, but the media is saying, like...
That's the media.
Yeah, the media is saying we need to support Israel. They're our number one ally in the Middle East. They're the number one supporter of LGBTQ in the Middle East. They are the only democracy in the Middle East, all that stuff. And they just completely ignore, like, all of the bad stuff, you know? So, I don't know. It's frustrating to watch. And because then you can go on, like, you know, Twitter, X, and see, like, actual videos of what's happening, and it's like it's hard to watch. It's infuriating. You're like, why is nobody talking about this?
You know, and when you're in combat, you know, when you're giving an order, if it's a lawful order, you follow. If it's an unlawful order, you do not follow it. You do not have to take action. If you know something is wrong, you don't have to do it. So that's what I'm saying. You know, when things happen, nobody knows the full story. All you get is bits and pieces of what happened because you're not going to see the whole story. No one's going to show you what's really happening.
Yeah.
You know, and nor are the soldiers aren't even allowed to talk about it. So if they get interviewed, they're only allowed to say certain things, and then that's it because they're instructed. If media talks to you, you say this, this, and this, and that's it.
Yeah, that's a great cover for doing evil. It's like, oh, I'm just not allowed to talk about it. You know what I mean? Like
See, that's your definition. Like you keep saying evil.
Yeah, I think that, like, I guess to do something that's not in the interest of the United States, that's not in the interest of, like, humanity as a whole, and is only in the interest of people who are making money off of it. A good cover is like, we're protecting national security.
So let me use this for an example. You have a group of military soldiers who are targeting a village in Afghanistan.
Yeah.
A known ISIS target.
Mm-hmm.
They go into this village and they have certain targets that they're looking for.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe 4 or 5 or 6 targets. But there's 100, 150 people in this village. Women, children, things like that. They go into this village and they get ambushed. Everybody seems to have weapons, so they open fire and they're killing everyone. But then Al-Qaeda takes those weapons away from those bodies of the people that they killed. And now they make it look like they killed a bunch of innocent people.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure that
and
happens.
That is,
yeah.
Yes, and then that is projected out, and the media is like, oh my God, look, they went in and they did all this stuff.
Yeah.
They killed all these innocent people. But the military won't say, oh no, that's not wrong. Look, we have the footage. They won't do that, because they know what happened and they move on to the next target.
See, I think they should be more transparent. I mean, they don't need the public's
That's right.
consent.
They don't need the public's consent.
But I wish they did. I don't know. I just wish they had to be more transparent and more accountable. And there's just no accountability, and everybody can get away with whatever they want. And I think, and it's tough because I would consider myself a patriot. I would consider myself patriotic, and I think that our government isn't. I think that they're going against everything that our founding fathers stood for. I think that they're violating our rights one at a time, slowly, until we don't have them anymore. And I think that
I would agree with you on a lot of terms of that statement, that the definition of patriotism has changed. Because, like I said, there are people out there who will tell you, I'm a true patriot. Even if they serve this country like myself, they don't have to agree with everything. They don't have to agree with the government. They don't have to. They don't even have to agree with the mission that they're doing, but they're under orders and they do that mission.
Yeah.
So, like I said, it's hard for me to say what is right and what is wrong because I've been there and I've seen some of the things.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, there are some that are just outright wrong. But you'll never get the 100% true story.
So yeah, it is just really frustrating, watching all this happen and not being able to do anything about it, and also not knowing when you're being lied to. Of sometimes the media is lying, sometimes they're not, and it's just. I just saw those videos over the weekend, and I just got way too fired up about it. And having not done research and just going the fuck off about how I feel about it, but yeah, I don't really know what else to say about it. I hope that the killing stops. I mean, that's all I can really say. But
war is never good for anything but profit.
Yeah.
Like I said, that's a fine line for me to walk, only because I've served in this country. And it's I don't agree with everything. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I don't agree with everything. I don't agree with some of the things that we did in Afghanistan. I don't even agree with what we did, some of the things in the Gulf War. There's a lot of things I don't agree with, but that doesn't make us evil.
Right. Well, it's difficult for me to even get across the way that I feel about it, because a lot of people will say, if I say I don't think that our military should be involved in foreign conflicts, people will say you don't support the troops. And it's no, I have all the respect in the world for the troops. I just think that our government shouldn't be sending people over there. That doesn't mean that I'm not patriotic or I don't support the troops. I just don't believe in the mission. But
it's a huge web. It's not just the United States. So you think it's just the United States, and it's not. The United Nations they're all linked together.
Yeah.
It's not just, look at the United States doing this, look at the United States doing this. There's a reason why. If we're doing this to benefit this, or to do this for a favor for another country to get this, or so on and so on. Yeah, that's what it's all about.
I think, I just have a general mistrust. I usually just assume that it's nefarious. So yeah, I know that's not always the case, but yeah, it's just hard. I'm definitely biased, but we can get out of this topic. I think it's been a little.
I think it's hard because we as a nation have never really truly been attacked on our own soil. Yes, we had 9/11. But what I'm talking about is another military force putting boots on our country.
It's about to be Red Dawn here pretty soon.
So, because no one's ever experienced that. These other countries, they experienced it. Like what's going on with Israel, and you're talking about civilians getting bombed and killed. That's what would happen if there was a war here. That same thing would happen. Yeah. No matter how much you tried to avoid it. Yeah, and
a crisis like that, with even with 9/11 being the biggest example you could give, it's everybody in the country was go ahead, you have the green light, blow up whoever you want, which I'm sure it's totally reasonable thing to feel at the time, but then it's the people in power use that as an excuse of okay, let's complete all our agendas, because right now everybody's we don't care what you do, just get them back. But I don't know. I think.
Well, technically, if you go back in history and during World War II, technically Japan did.
Well, yeah. And that was the same thing. It's like, now we can be involved. It was like, we're staying out of this conflict, and then that happens. It's like, okay, go blew up, drop some nukes, and then, which I don't even know if I don't want to get into that, but I don't even think dropping nukes on Japan was a good thing. I don't think it was necessary. I think they were ready to negotiate beforehand, but they kind of spin the narrative of like, oh, their whole thing is to never surrender, and they weren't going to surrender unless they dropped the bombs. But even Eisenhower said we didn't need to do that. Eisenhower said that was not necessary. They were ready to negotiate.
That whole thing started with the threat of Germans having nuclear weapons. Mm-hmm. That was the whole thing. That's when Oppenheimer and all them got involved and was developing the A-bomb.
Yeah.
So that was the race. We need the bomb before Germany does it, because if Germany has the bomb, they're going to drop it on the United States.
Yeah.
That was the whole thing. And then we actually defeated Germany, but we're still in conflict with Japan.
Yeah.
And then
the Soviets, too.
Correct. Yeah. And so the A-bomb was designed, was never actually wasn't supposed to be used for weapon, but they knew the technology was going to be used for weapons. That's why they were funded.
See, I didn't see the movie, so I don't...
It's not really the movie. I'm just trying to go back the way it was.
Yeah.
That's how the whole race started, and then they knew when they got funded and everybody was getting together, they knew that it was going to become weaponized.
Right.
So once they did that, yes, they ended up dropping the bomb. A lot of people saying Japan was on the verge of surrendering anyways. And so did they really need to drop the bomb?
Yeah, that's also something we'll never really know.
We never know.
Yeah.
We never know. But once they did it, I couldn't even imagine the mass destruction of being there.
It also changed the world. Like, it changed,
that was the whole thing. And Einstein warned everybody about it. Mm-hmm. Einstein said, if you guys come up with this technology, you are going to destroy the world.
Yeah. I forget who said this, but they said, I don't know what weapons World War III will be fought with, but World War IV will be fought with sticks and rocks.
I guess.
Because you're going to blow everything up, It's going to be nothing left.
And then what was really mad and why they continued is because that information got leaked and the Soviet Union started making the A-bomb, where they were getting pissed because, like, where did that information come? Why do they have it? Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So anyways,
that's
just a history lesson.
The whole spies, Russian and American spies.
Correct.